Hello, Fabulous Aries. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of August 2016, General Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. What an exciting month it is for all of us. Big changes are being promised and also big conclusions as well as part of some larger patterns that have been taking place and also will be taking place not only this month, but also in the month ahead. So there are two main things that are going to speak to all of us, and of course, including you. The first is the eclipse. And this eclipse that is happening this month, in the middle of the month, is special. And the reason that it's special is for a few reasons. One has uniquely to do with you, and that is the fact that it is speaking to Uranus in your sign, speaking to in harmony with Uranus in your sign, which makes it that much more meaningful to you, which means the changes promised, the sense of freedom, the sense of lightness, the sense of positive direction and momentum, feeling like you're leaving behind what you no longer need so you can truly be happy and truly be you, feeling delighted by life. That is what is promised at this eclipse. But what is special is that normally eclipses come in pairs. They come 2 weeks apart, back to back. Normally there's a new moon and a full moon, sometimes a full moon then a new moon. But normally that's how eclipses like to operate, in pairs. What's unique now is that eclipses are taking place, actually 3. So they're back to back to back. There is this month a lunar eclipse, and next month, and of course I'll be here to talk about it then, but really right out of the gate next month, we have a new moon solar eclipse taking place, and then mid-month, mid-September, there will be another full moon eclipse happening. So this is really interesting. It makes this an important time for all of us. It makes this a sensitive time as well. And all of us are going to be feeling a sense of heightened emotions, especially around mid-month, because there's a bunch of things happening. First, of course, we have this eclipse. Now, this eclipse is happening for you in a part of the sky that has to do with friendships, alliances. It has to do with groups that you belong to as well. And as I look at this particular configuration, it does suggest to me that at least one important friendship is going to go through a change. It's almost as if you see somebody differently. You see somebody either with a lot of gratitude, either somebody really comes through for you and somebody you really thought wouldn't, doesn't, or you will very lovingly come to understand that one friendship that at one time was important to you, or a membership to a group that at one time was important to you, now is growing in a different direction. Now it's becoming or has become something else, and you are ready to bring that connection to a healthy closure with absolute love and light. There's a lot of empowerment that happens when you give yourself permission to do that. When we realize that in many ways, as part of the mystery, a lot of times we hold on to certain alliances because we think we owe people something, or we think that the consequences of not having that alliance would be very great, or we think that other people really need us and we need to be part of this. We think that there's some kind of, bond. We call it karmic. We call it obligation. But something amazing happens when we listen to ourselves, or when you listen to yourself and realize what's working and what isn't, and are willing to make changes as a result. You free other people to do what they need to do with their lives as well. And I feel that there may be, for some of you out there, a percentage of you out there, there may be an alliance right now that you have, some person in your life or some group you belong to, where some of the dynamic has gotten less than healthy. Whether it is that you feel that you're giving more or they feel that way, in some way there's an off balance that needs to be corrected. And this is going to be your opportunity to do just that. The thing with eclipses is, they tend to bring us back onto the path of a higher, more loving vision for our life. The eclipses involve the nodes of the moon, and the nodes are involved with, and I believe a symbol of, our unique journey towards greater love and greater wisdom. And when eclipses come along, activating these nodes, it is the universe wanting to bring you into alignment with a path that moves you in that direction of greater love and greater wisdom, because that's what it is that we're here to do. That's the deeper soul urge. That's how I interpret the sky from that perspective. Everything is ultimately about us further embodying greater love and greater wisdom. When eclipses come along, the more in alignment you have been living, the more aware you've been living, the easier it tends to be, right? Changes come, and this is a lunar eclipse, so it's about closure, it's about endings, and in some cases, might be very much by surprise. But when those endings come, you're grateful for it. Maybe a part of you kind of knew it, but another part of you is, thinking it may be a surprise, but you're able to see the wisdom very quickly and be glad for it, especially with a harmonious Uranus hanging out or speaking with this particular lunar eclipse. You absolutely will be glad for the changes that take place. So it is an ending, okay? If you are someone who doesn't really think so much about spiritual matters and sort of just live your life and try to make things happen the way that you want, instead of listening, which some people, and especially certain times in life, tend to inspire in us, then eclipses can be quite shocking and they can be surprising. And they have a way of bringing us back in very dramatic ways at times to that more loving path. So this is going to be the first of even more changes that will be coming up as we move you into the month of September. Now, do pay attention what happens in the very early days of the month, because for some people out there, for some Aries out there, what transpires will in some way speak to or further develop what takes place at the solar eclipse in the early days of next month, okay? And particularly for those of you who were born at the very end of the month or the very beginning of the month, you especially want to watch what takes place, because that is going to hearken in some way to what takes place in the early days of September, okay? So of course, I'll be here to talk about it then. But for now, the focus is very much on friendships that's taking place with the first of the 3 eclipses that happens this month. Shortly after the eclipse takes place, it becomes about Mars. So some important things are happening with Mars. One is that Mars will leave shadow, finally, okay? So throughout pretty much most of this year so far, we have had Mars retrograde season. I would invite you to watch the special videos I did, the special series I did. It's on YouTube right now for the Mars retrograde season. And you can use that to reflect on what these past months have been about for you, have been trying to inspire in you, teach in you, getting you to reflect on the best action for you to move forward. Well, now what we're having is Mars leaves shadow and immediately meets Saturn in the sky. And so a lot of this learning that we've been going through thanks to Mars is really going to hit home in a very powerful way for all of us. And so, of course, I would really advise, especially as we move into the month, right around 3 weeks into the month, be very gentle with everyone around you. Of course, I'll be reminding you of this in the weekly horoscopes as well, but really important to be kind and gentle to the people around you now, because it is those very people who will be especially sensitive when we've got Mars meeting Saturn in the sky. But ultimately what this says to me is that reality really comes home and comes together, and we are now ready to manifest and to take a very honest stock of, and in some cases we might even be a little bit tough on ourselves, but there is some importance playing out here. There's a need to take a very honest stock of how we are better as a result of the Mars retrograde period that we have now and are now bringing to a close. So all of that is happening very simultaneously. Some emotions may be high, but people will actually be really restrained as well. And I think people are going to be making some very important decisions about their lives, about the way that they want to go, the direction they want to go as well. And so this, of course, includes you, because Mars is your ruling planet, which means that the changes aren't just about what appears on the surface. It isn't just about all the topics I mentioned in the Mars special, like higher education, like travel, like immigration or legal matters or political matters, okay? It's not just about that, but it reaches much more deeper. It has to do with identity and the values that guide your life and who you know yourself to be, what truth it is that you represent in the world, and what esteem you hold to that truth. Does that really represent you? Like, can you, as they say, like put your, for lack of a better way of putting it, it's like put your money where your mouth is, right? Or have your words line up with your actions. That's what I think a lot of this conjunction is going to be about. And it should represent an important turning point for you and an important conclusion moment to some themes that have been with you since early this year. It's about understanding yourself and holding yourself in higher regard. And one of the surest ways to do that, to know that you have your own self-respect, is by knowing that you are living in alignment with what you choose to manifest, your stated aims. There's something very powerful that happens when we have a vision and then we take action towards it. And it isn't necessarily about achieving the thing. It's about knowing that you're on the path towards achieving it, that you're doing your part and surrendering the rest and seeing where the universe is going to take you. That path alone, and acknowledging that you're on the path and being willing to do what's required in your part and what you can do, right? Not about being hard on yourself at all, but just doing what you can do and knowing that you're doing the best that you can do. There's something very strengthening on a spiritual level that happens. And I think that's part of the divine learning or the sacred learning that is taking place for you, has been taking place for you, but now will really come together for you this month. Of course, I can't let you go without also mentioning early in the month, we are going to have a new moon. Now, this is a really nice new moon. It'll speak mostly to love and romance and children and fertility. So if you have kids, if you want to have kids, all of this does suggest a spotlight on those issues. It's a new moon at that, and that does suggest all kinds of fresh opportunities and fresh beginnings, new beginnings being offered. So if you want to have children, some very good news could find you now. And if you have children, you could really feel like you're starting a brand new chapter with them and feel that greater sense of connection and closeness with them as well, greater sense of presence with them as well. And of course, that new moon is really great if you're an artist of any kind or use your creativity in order to do something in the world, in order to gain financially. This new moon will be especially fortunate for you as well. But of course, there's a romantic part of that, and I will save that for the love-focused horoscope. There's other things, lots of other areas of life, of course, that are going to get your attention besides love this month. And it is a lot about friendships, and then it's a lot about you as well. Your strength and your truth, and ensuring that you are living it. That's the direction you're going in, and that's the direction in which true self-respect is found.